Hey everyone, Shay Malika here with Phyxius Power Building and going from a new location. I'm actually outdoors today. Today was I thought a great day to kind of get out from my basement a little bit more, get you out of the dungeon, see something a little bit different. Um, Also, I mean, it's a perfect autumn day here. I'm, south of Chicago and everything like that. It's like in the 60s. You don't get these days when you're in November and everything. So when you get them, you take advantage of it, even if you want to get a little bit of a workout. And I know some of you working outside may seem a little strange, may think, well, are people going to look at me funny? Get over it. All right. You go to a gym, for crying out loud. You do workouts, you do weird ass shit all the time. People look at you funny. And right now, I'm sure my neighbors are looking at me funny, especially since I'm talking to a camera. But hey, you know what? I'm out here. I'm doing something. I'm not sitting on my ass watching television, eating Doritos all day. So I'm doing something a little bit more. But this is a great thing to talk about, is getting outside and get your workouts in. And also, this is going to be an extension of what we talked about last week, working on the shoulder complex. Now, you may remember, I'm going to share my screen here real quick. You may remember from what we talked about last week, the different muscles of the shoulder, right? So you got those more superficial muscles with the deltoid, the anterior, the middle or the lateral, and the posterior fibers. But you also got those deep muscles as well, those rotator cuff muscles, which are essential for the health of the shoulder and for that ball and socket joint to roll, slide, and glide in a normal fashion. So again, if you want a little bit more detail with the anatomy, refer back to last week's video, all right? But today, what I want to get into is the benefits of using resistance bands, mobility bands on the shoulder complex, and how it is a great way of promoting strength and power, even to a certain extent as well. And I'll tell you this: what I have found since using mobility bands for my shoulders is that not only have I gotten stronger, I don't have the aches and pains like I used to when I worked out exclusively with barbells and dumbbells. And I think it's because of that variable resistance that we always talk about in terms of how it matches the strength tension curve, or the length and strength curve of the muscle fibers themselves. So we're going to go over some basic ones today. An overhead press, which is similar to a dumbbell press, but with a mobility band. Also side raises with mobility bands, and then something that's a little bit different that can be done for those posterior delts as well. So we're going to hit all three heads doing this. So to start off with, and the nice part is being outside, I don't need too much. If I do need to anchor it on something, I could always anchor it on a tree if I needed to, or my deck here if I wanted. But for today's workout, I just need my feet. That's all I need to anchor it, because that's all I'm going to do to start off with, is put the band underneath my feet, getting good shoulder width stance. All right, I know you can't see it right now, but then bringing the band up. And just like we were talking about last week with dumbbells, we want to start off with our hands about the level of our ears, maybe a little bit higher. The upper arm, we don't want it to be all the way down, because that puts our shoulder in a disadvantaged position. So all from here, all we're going to need to do is push straight up overhead and then back down. And again, that 2 seconds for the concentric, 2 seconds for the eccentric. That'll maximize that time under tension. And you'll get a great workout. Again, remember your sets and reps, depending on what your personal goals are for this. And again, I've just noticed that since using mobility bands for my shoulder workouts, my shoulders almost feel like they're bulletproof to a certain degree, all right? And I just don't get all those kinks, those pinches that I used to get with dumbbells and barbells. So doesn't mean I don't use dumbbells. For my shoulder workouts, I don't use barbells anymore, because as I mentioned last week, I just get too many pinches and injuries on my left shoulder. So something else is obviously going on in there. I know I have a lateral tear that needs to get fixed, but I'm too stubborn to do that. So again, overhead press, great one for all three heads. Nice part is with standing, you're going to engage your core a little bit more, so it's a good one to be adding. The next one to consider is a side raise, all right? Now, I'm going to be anchoring it with my feet. I'm going to show you a couple different ways, all right? Try some of the different ways in terms of how to anchor it with your feet to get what you feel is the best type of resistance, where you get that, that pump, if you will, or you get that resistance where everything feels good. So I'm going to change the angle here a little bit so that you can see. So the first one I'm going to do is something very traditional. I'm just going to anchor it under one foot and step on it with the other, because from there, now I can go out to the side, similar to a dumbbell. So this is one way of doing it. Great way of doing it. But for some people, they're like, I like that, but it doesn't, but the tension just feels not quite right. So another way of doing it, if I'm still going to be using, in this case, my right arm, I'm going to actually start off the anchoring process with my right foot, step on it with my left, and now I have the angle across my body. And for me, this feels very similar to the dumbbells, because it's going across the body. So the angle of resistance mimics those dumbbells very nicely. And again, I'll tell you this, when I do this with dumbbells, it hurts every time. I get a pinch when I get near the top. But with the mobility bands, the resistance bands, I don't get that at all. Again, use that same 2 seconds on, 2 seconds off to get that time under tension that you're looking for. All right, so let me just step back here again. So if I were going to do the other arm, I'd anchor it under my left, step on with my right, and now I can move with my left. And I like to put my hand on my stomach to engage that core, that proprioceptive input that I'm looking for. There we go. Good. All right, I'm going to bring the angle back up here just a little bit. All right, so again, similar to dumbbells, we have overhead press, we have the side raises, but we can also do something for the posterior delt. We can do it in a couple different ways. One of my favorite ones to do is just actually grabbing this mobility band out, and I'm keeping my hands just on the outside of my body. I'm going to raise it up until the band is actually, would be over my head. And then from there, I'm just going to pull out and down. And in this case, I know I'm going to the right distance when the band touches my chin. Right. So again, I'm starting actually with the band above my head, stretching it out and back until it touches my chin. And I feel that this gets my posterior delt really well. Now, if that's not your cup of tea, if maybe if you have some shoulder issues where that doesn't feel good, another alternative is anchoring it to something solid, as I'm going to do here just with one of the rungs of my deck. And then from there, I can do that same shoulder extension that I showed last week with the dumbbells, all right? And then from here, just bringing it back in that short motion. Keeping that constant tension on the posterior delt or on the muscles themselves. Great exercise. Traditionally, you want to be doing this one as with the lateral raise at a higher rep range, 15, 20, or even higher. So you're going to keep the weight low, and you will start feeling that burning usually about halfway through. And that's a really great exercise, again, to do with to help work out the overall shoulder or posterior delt of the shoulder. All right. So again, use these mobility bands. Get yourself outdoors. Get some fresh air as you're doing the workout and everything. You're going to get a great workout. It's a nice way to change things up a little bit. A lot of times I'll actually go to our playground, actually, early in the morning or something like that, when there's not kids on it. Anchor things to the different pieces of equipment on the playground. Do my workout then. Again, great alternative. And a lot of fun too to get out of that gym every now and then, or for me, out of my basement, out of the dungeon. So I hope everyone enjoyed today's episode. Please join us next week. Please make sure to click that like button, subscribe so that you get the notifications for any video that comes out. There's going to be quite a few coming this month. I'm going to be doing some things in terms of macros made easy, maybe some recipes, also things to keep in mind in terms of nutrition around the holidays and ways to try to set yourself up for success. So thanks for joining. Appreciate it, guys. You guys are the greatest. Remember, struggle is strength. Get that struggle on. Talk to you guys later.